Well, and with recording in progress, that must mean we are starting our meeting. So, we thank you all for coming out to the Poplar Grove Community Council, month of May 2023. We're almost halfway through the year, believe it or not. So, we're excited to have you all here. For those that are online, we hope you can hear us. We tested it earlier. It's a bit echoey, but we do ask. So we mentioned earlier, we have a new OWL device that we're using for our streaming. It has this cool 360-degree camera, so it should hopefully pick up whoever is talking. That little strip at the top of the screen is around the room. But it does mean that if you are making a comment in the room, please speak up, act as if you're talking outside, so that those that are online can hear what's going on as well. Do your best to take your time when you're speaking as well. And if you're presenting, that also means you can kind of present from wherever if you have something to bring up here. So my name is Daniel Tuutau. I am the Poplar Grove Chair. We have Marissa here, who is the secretary. We have Karen over there, that is the treasurer. And then Esther Stoll, who might be popping online a little bit if she can, is the vice chair. Also on the board here represented, we have Danny Potts, and that's it so far. We have a few others that might be showing up later. And we're glad that you're all able to make it with us today. We're going to go ahead and roll through some of our community council public agenda items. The point of this gathering, one of the points is to sort of connect those that are here and those that are going to view this later with the different things that are going on in our neighborhood. So we kind of have a list. We'll go down them. Not always. We don't always have everyone in attendance, so some of these points might get skipped over. But we'd like to start off with the most important service in the neighborhood, our fire department. Oh.
In front, behind, doesn't matter.
Wherever you want.
So I'm a neighbor, but since the fire department isn't here, I'll do my best to represent. I am a firefighter and currently part-time PIO for the fire department.
What's your name?
Chad Jefferson. Do you have the newsletter link? You usually post that up. I'll get it to you. So Salt Lake City Fire Department website has the community newsletter, SLC. Actually, it's, let me see what it's at slc.gov/fire. If you need any information, and Marissa will probably post that up on the community website. But the chief's message this month is we're talking about CPR. CPR is a big primary goal of our department. Medical is 80% of what we do, but community is a big part. Until we arrive, you can do CPR, and if you're unaware of what to do and how to do it, we offer classes that are not necessarily certification classes. So if you're required for your job to be a CPR certified, that's not what we offer necessarily. But it's a 1-hour course, and we can teach things like, what to do when you see somebody in a traumatic event, what to do if somebody is choking, and you will learn the basics of CPR, what's an AED and how to use it, and how to contact 911 and interact with the fire department or EMS as they arrive. So that's something simple that we offer that you're available to take a course in, and it doesn't cost anything. And you get that from our website, the address that I mentioned earlier. If you want actual CPR certification, there's a number of different places: American Heart Association, Red Cross, those sorts of things. We have recently revamped our hiring process, and this is kind of a big change for the fire department. I don't know if anybody's listens to KRCL. I do, but Laura Jones yesterday had our chief on there with on Radioactive talking about it. I was a big part of that. So the department had for 40+ years has hired off of a 2-year list. So you would test, and then you'd be placed on a list, and then as we needed firefighters, we pull off the top of that list. That list was a 2-year standing list. It's kind of a long time for anybody to wait around for a job, or even if they start working somewhere else, they kind of lose interest. And we found that we were losing potentially really good firefighters to other departments and other careers. And so we decided to rewrite our hiring process. And now we've got a continuous hiring process, essentially. It used to be that you would sign up. We would say, come to our department today on this day and take this test. So it was inconvenienced people because they couldn't get off work. They had childcare duties, they had other responsibilities, and they couldn't show up. So now we test anytime, any day of the year through online, so you can do it from home. And it does cost, there's a fee of $55. It goes to the testing agency, doesn't go to the fire department. And that test also you can submit it to different departments across the country. After the test, we do some other things, some other interviews and things. And essentially this makes it easier for us to hire people that are not able to get to our testing facility. And this happens all year round. You schedule your own test. The results come to us, and then twice a year we have hiring classes. So if you're interested if you know anybody who's interested in becoming a firefighter, Salt Lake City has now become quite a bit easier. We're one of the first in the country to do this, to move to this. We've talked to other people like Washington, D.C. is moving to the same thing. Some other large departments are also moving to this because they're finding the same problems that we found. So you can get to our testing process and apply through the slcgov./fire that I mentioned earlier. Any questions about that? The only other thing, the outreach, as far as wildfire, we got wildfire season coming up. There's a number of different things you can read about on the link that Marissa is going to post. But essentially, just as some of us live in wildland urban interface, so you've got trees and Jordan River, or you live up on the foothills, or those sorts of things, or out on the grasslands, you're on the edge of the wildland problem. And some things to be prepared with is make sure that you pull back your fire fuels that are near your homes, especially if it's a flammable home or structure. And we actually offer, if you request, we can come out and help evaluate your property for you. If you go to our website again, we can come out and evaluate your property, give you some suggestions on how to prepare your home for the wildfire season. It's very wet out there, and I hope it keeps coming. But what that does is that makes the grasses grow taller, and you're likely to have more fire problems. Keep a hose handy. If you can knock down the fire before it gets big, do that. Obviously call 911 and we'll come out here and we'll come out to your place and take care of it as fast as we can. But anyway, there's a number of different tips on there as far as how to prepare your home, talking about evacuation plans and preparing with your family, packing your pets stuff if you're in an area that might get evacuated. And then the final thing I'd like to mention is we've got our run volumes in here. Station 6 right over here, which is what covers Poplar Grove. They're quite busy. And if you aren't aware, they have a secondary unit there. It's an MRT. It's a smaller SUV with 2 firefighters that just deal with medicals. But between the two of them, they are very busy. That's one of the reasons why they often don't show up, because they're always rolling.
To these community council meetings.
They don't come to these community council. They'll always come to the.
They show up to the
emergency. But for instance, let's see where we're at. Station 6 on the run volume here. Wish I would have had this here. About in April, let's go with because in an MRT. So about 300 calls last month is about what they're taking care of.
Just for that station?
Just for that station. If you have to add it's MRT 6 and ME 6, you add those together, and that's what it is. And that's both fire and medical, but typically, and they're right on track with about 8% medical, 20% fire. And that will change. They actually are one of the busier fire stations, especially during the wildland season, because then as these wildland fires, these grass fires that we go to, there's only 4 stations that deal with grass fires in the city that have specialty units. And when they're on those, they're there for multiple hours. And so during those times, the ballpark station 8 will come over and cover this, or station 7 from Fair Park, or even station 14 from out west. And so the run numbers increase in fire and decrease in medical. And so they actually get a little off balance. But so any questions? Danny Potts?
Just a comment, you know, for our area, down here in the bottom of the valley or whatever, you know, it's cheatgrass. You know, that cheatgrass has just grown so much this year. Everything is green, and so that particular species of grass actually evolved. Nature here, it actually evolved to operate with fire. It meant that's how it expands its range and moves into places is by burning. And so I'm just saying, go with the cheatgrass before the 4th of July.
Right, and there will be further information coming out next month. This month, we're gonna actually be speaking about dog safety or pet safety in your cars and different things. And obviously fireworks season is coming up. We'll be speaking about that as well, but not sure about the regulations that we're gonna have this year. Go ahead.
Just want to introduce myself. My name is Gavin Dahl. I'm the new executive director of KRCL. So thanks for mentioning that. And it was an honor to have the chief and the mayor on last night. Just moved, our family just moved right across the street on Goshen. So we're new to Poplar Grove. Happy to be here. My question is just about flooding. I don't know how much fire department has to do with that. My understanding from speaking to someone at the county is that we are here in a dark blue zone, and I've seen some sandbags just right here on 4th South. I'm just concerned. It seems like everything's okay so far for this neighborhood. I was just wondering if you have any thoughts on that, or who else we should be looking to for resources. The county probably.
So the waterways are managed by the county, but Salt Lake City Fire has emergency management underneath it, or kind of alongside it, so to speak. So we have emergency management, and that's who deals with the flooding problems when it becomes a flood. As we have smaller floods and things, the fire department responds to it. We will respond. But as far as the zones, I'm not sure about the colors, but you have to look at your own different property. My house, for instance, I'm not in the flood zone, but 3 of the houses around me are. I go to weekly meetings with people from the county flood and from EM, from emergency management, what EM stands for. And they, this time, are still not concerned about the Jordan River. They all believe Jordan River, and that's really where most of us are concerned. Well, maybe not necessarily. But the Jordan River should be able to handle the flows that come out of the mountains. We've got surplus canal that we can divert to. And that waterway is quite large. And so what they will do is, as the water starts coming down heavy, they direct everything out to the surplus canal, and then it allows the Jordan River main, the proper, to accept all the water that comes down through the storm drains and through the other creeks. And so every time that I've talked to them, I live right on the river, I ask the question, how is the Jordan River? And they say, we're not worried about that. They never say it's fine. They say, we're really not worried about it at this time. The biggest problems that we have is groundwater coming up. And so a lot of people have sumps in their house. They've got low sections, you've got a sump set up. And that is likely to occur on normal years. That's why you have a sump pump in your house that has a sump, if anybody has one of those. And so as the water rises, that's likely going to be a problem. The sandbagging, also the street, if there's any water that is coming down the street, likely by the time we get here, it's less of a problem for us than it is the people where it's originating and accumulating. And because by the time it gets down here, they've already redirected it. It's going to a very specific spot. They might have some flooding. Some of the parks, like the International Peace Gardens, is actually a flood zone. It's designed to flood and capture water. And over by Northwest, it also is there. I know that's out of Poplar Grove, but anyway, the sandbags, there's multiple places to get sandbags. I'm sure you've seen it on all the social medias about where to get sandbags and what to do with them. And many people may not need them. And just evaluate your own property. Look at the flood zone maps. FEMA has some, Salt Lake County has some flood zone maps. And look at those and evaluate your risk potential. If you do get sandbags, it's your responsibility to take care of them after they're done. So, you know, a lot of people put up a ton of sandbags, but at the end of the deal, you're going to have to either take care of them or plant some ivy. And I've seen that before. A row of sandbags that somebody's planted ivy in, and now it's a wall, an ivy wall. Which is cool. And if you didn't know, the Raging Waters Park down there, the mound, those were sandbags from 1983 that they built the slides on top of. So, you know, you got to have some creativity there, but does that answer your question?
Yeah, thanks.
Anything else?
Kevin Bell, who lives in Glendale, you know, he's the Salt Lake City's GIS expert, and he's created a flood map specific to Salt Lake City. And I think you'd be very, very surprised if you look at that map and see what will more likely flood and what won't. It's not exact, but it's probably within a foot. So,
I don't know, I've probably seen his map. His is the ones that are linked out from Salt Lake City because he works for Salt Lake City.
yeah.
So I'm sure I've looked at that, but yeah, they're all a
Anyway.
guess. They're all a guess, but
Well, he
He's pretty
used everything from FBI information to, I don't know, he used everything. This guy is amazing. You have to be
Kevin's
around.
great.
He's amazing.
I agree.
All right, thanks, Chad.
You're welcome.
All right, okay, moving on, we'd like to, Detective Oliver, I think you're online. Did you, are you in a place to unmute and report?
All right, can you hear me?
Yes.
Did my video come up? Maybe not. Maybe I should turn the video off.
Sort of see it.
We see you.
It's kind of like found footage for a movie.
Okay. Yeah, let's go minus the video tonight. This new video, this owl video is kind of trippy. This 360 view and all this stuff keeps going back to Dan though, so something must be wrong with the video.
Nothing is wrong with the video. Right with the video.
All right. Any questions, concerns, anything you're seeing that need to be brought up and talked about tonight?
I got one.
Yes, sir.
Han Peacock walked across the crosswalk there on 4 South, where we're building those bulb outs. Oh my God, they're going to work so great, I thought. So they poured that cement and she made it all the way across, cars stopping for and everything. I went, great. So my dog and I went out and almost got hit again. I mean, it was crazy. I mean, I don't know what to say or do. I can't go any higher and I can't go any lower in terms of, but I think those bulb outs will really help ultimately when we get them fully constructed.
I think it will help definitely. It wasn't by police again, was it? That you almost got hit?
No.
Okay. So that's a concern. 4 South has always been an interesting thing. Maybe we can put you in a peacock costume or something and you can get across there without getting targeted. But I'll get that out to our motors also and see if we can't continue to try and hit that. With all the construction that's been going on, it's been a little bit weird on 4 South, to tell you the truth. From about 9th West down, it's just weird. And I noticed today 4 South was completely shut off. You couldn't turn southbound onto 9th West from coming in from the city. So hopefully the construction will end quickly and we can figure some things out. But yeah, we'll keep an eye on it. Any other questions, concerns before I jump into some really boring numbers?
Can I ask you, just as a new guy, detective, are you based at the station just down the road on the river?
Yeah.
Correct. I'm at Pioneer. I'm actually at my in my office right now. I got stuck in doing some things, but that's where I'm recording from. So the lighting in the background is pretty old looking. So I'm just going to leave that off. But yeah, and I'm the West Side guy. So districts 1 and 2. If there's any issues, I'll leave my phone number in the chat. You can give me a call or a text or anything if you see something coming up. We've really been focused. I've been focused with compliance, is just trying to get some of these RVs that are being lived in and unfortunately a lot of crimes that are occurring out of those RVs moved along or removed. So that's one thing we've been focusing on for the last little bit. As it's getting warmer, unfortunately, it's getting more active. You've probably noticed that the river itself is getting busier. The trails are getting busier and some of the camps are getting busier. So if you see anything that is concerning, just reach out. If it's really concerning, 911, 799-3000 is always a great contact number.
So I have a point that I want to bring up also. So what is like a standard wait time when you reach out to like a non-emergency line to receive assistance from the officers? Like, do you have like a metric that you go for?
So yes, and it really depends on what the call is. If it's a 911 call, it's going to be an in progress call, so the number will drop. And I'm going to go through some of those numbers actually, because with the we're down 47 officers still, so those numbers will be a little bit more inflated than I want them to be. But let's say if it's a trespasser, that's going to be a priority 3, so that will be the third on the list down from any other call. So chances are, and actually we can just talk about the response time right now. So priority 3, believe it or not, is 37 minutes is what we've been averaging for a priority 3 call for response time. So that's Believe it or not, 5 minutes faster than the month before, but 37 minutes is still a long time for a priority 3.
Well, I had a priority 3 2 nights ago, and it took them about 4.5 hours to come to my property to get somebody out, and they arrested a man who had a warrant out for his arrest and 3 felonies out of my neighbor's shed.
The shed, yeah, you sent me that. So that, and what was that called in as? Because that's kind of where we get in a lot of our disconnects, is it gets called into dispatches, just a trespasser or a suspicious person.
It was called in non-emergency, right? Like trespasser on my property, cutting through, going to the back, they're breaking in. I have footage of them breaking the lock and going inside. So you say priority, that would fall under priority 3 based on what you said. They told me that they had sent somebody out after I called back 2.5 hours later.
Uh-oh, I just lost everybody. Are you there?
Yep, I'm there.
Okay, I just lost oh, there we go. We're back. So, yeah, and that's how, if it's an actual burglary in progress, that should be jumped up in priority. So I'm not sure how dispatch sent that one out, but it sounds like if you watch them break into something, it should not have been a priority 3. It should have been up to at least a priority 2, possibly a priority 1. So that's might be the disconnect. And with the priority 2, just to go over some of these numbers a little bit more, our response time for a priority 2 is 15 minutes and 24 seconds. Can you guys still hear me? Because I've lost all video.
Yeah.
Okay. So, man, whenever I say that, it comes up. I'm just going to keep saying that. So, and realize these priority calls are from the time the phone gets picked up from dispatch till the time an officer arrives. So that's what we've been averaging for last month was 15 minutes and 24 seconds for a priority 2. Priority 1 is our active, a crime is currently being committed type of crimes, and those are 9 minutes and 23 seconds is what we've been averaging. So it really just depends on what it's labeled as through to dispatch. And I wish I had something from them to say what they label it as. Does that make sense?
Yeah, for sure.
But that's kind of what we're looking at for those. Now that's granted, that's down from the month before, but we're still 47 officers down from where we should be. And as we continue to get officers, those response times will continue to come down.
Okay, I have a follow-up question to
Sure.
yeah, so then what is like standard procedure once the officers do show up and everything goes down and they're ready to, like, you know how they sort of like debrief you on the incident? Is there like
So,
a standard?
yeah, a lot of times they won't debrief you. But since you did call it in, you can have access to those reports. So a lot of the time the priority is just getting in there, and if it's an arrest, they're going to get take the arrest and take them to jail. So there's not going to be a lot of debriefing. You can always call a sergeant and request that, just kind of what happened, or you can call the 799-3000 number, get the case number. That's always what I recommend. No matter what you do, always get a case number when you call in, and then you have that report that you can go and get, and that'll tell you everything.
Okay, and then my last question, so then what about, because that person that was arrested was being harbored there for 3 weeks, right? They were sort of living on that property, and the only reason why I called in was because I had a fight altercation with the woman that the officers left behind on the premise after they arrested the guy.
Mm-hmm.
So, is there like a channel that I could go through to sort of have the police do further investigation? Because if he's harboring literal convicted felons on property in our neighborhood, I would think that you guys would want to sort of make more arrests and sort of clean up the street so that you don't have a shooting, a stabbing.
Sure. Sure, absolutely. And when you get that case number, it will be assigned to it'll be assigned to a detective, and that detective you can reach out to at any time and try and get some follow-up, or try and just tell them what else is going on. But you can also always go through the district attorney's office and just go directly to them and tell them the case number, and they can pursue it as well. So there's 2 routes, because once the arrest happens, then the the charges have to be screened. So we screen the charges, we send it to the district attorney's office. The district attorney's office will determine, or the city prosecutor's office will determine what charges they're going to go with. So that's kind of the long haul. And then that doesn't even include the jail process. So it does take a little bit longer to pursue those charges, but you have access to that anytime. Just call the police department, give them the case number, and request to talk to a sergeant or the detective that's in charge of the case.
Okay.
Yeah.
And lastly, can you just like pass along to the officers that came last night? Thank you very much for like just the rapport and just the way they sort of handled last night's situation.
Absolutely.
Also, the officer that sort of talked to me the previous night when they made the arrest, can you tell him that when speaking to citizens that are concerned and people that are sort of shaken up in an instance, to not tell them to shut up, basically? Because I'm sort of the one that made the call. I'm sort of the one that was concerned for the safety of my family, the safety of the elderly in that property, and him just cutting me off and basically treating me like a nuisance doesn't make me want to reach out to the police force, especially as a brown man in the state of Utah. So I just, like maybe tell him to work on his bedside manner. That would be super great.
Completely understand that. Completely. And that's a great thing we can always add. I mean, we continue to get training, but that is an actual legit complaint that I hear a lot of. And yes, I will absolutely pass it on.
Thank you.
Yeah. Anything else that anybody wants to talk about? I will finish this real quick then with some numbers. So we're going to go through District 1 and District 2 since we kind of split just a little bit. In the last 28 days, we've had 18 violent crimes in District 1. That's down actually 4% from the normal, which is good. And then in District 2, we have had 24 violent crimes in the last 28 days, and that is down also 1%. Now, our increase in District 2 is we do have one more homicide this year than we did last year at this point. So that's actually gone up 100%, which is not a good sign. So year to date, we are at, I believe, 8 homicides for the city. That is up by 3 homicides year to date than we were last year. So that's not encouraging because it's just now starting to come into the spring weather and it's starting to get warmer. We are also seeing a decrease in motor vehicle thefts in District 2, which is fantastic. That is always going up, but we are down 59%. Oh, just kidding, 18%. 18% in motor vehicle thefts in District 2. So we went from 35 as a 5-year average to only 17 this last month. So we're seeing a huge decrease. So continue to call in if you're seeing anything, somebody trying door handles or shining flashlights in the windows or any of that in your neighborhood. You guys know your neighborhoods better than we do. So call us in if you see something suspicious. So that's just kind of a brief rundown of the numbers. If there are any that bring up any other questions, if not, I will just stay on. And if there are any questions that are brought up, I will be here.
2 more questions. These are super quick. Is there a way to what is the process to get the like police cameras placed somewhere? So how Chaplain Library, like what if I wanted to like go through the proper channels to get one of the police cameras in that corner? Because there's been like a minivan or I guess a camper parked at Chaplain for the last like 2 months. Chapman Library to get like one of those little cameras, because there's a lot of like foot traffic and like runners and bikes going in and out of that camper day in, day out. And obviously you guys are sort of stretched thin. I would like to have some kind of security measure for children that go there. I have like tons of kids on that street. There's tons of like fast cars and people on bikes with sketchy bags, and just it would be help to like deter maybe action traffic in that area.
Sure. Is that the camper that was down next to 800 West? Is that on the south side of the street, or is this a different one? Because we removed that one maybe a week or so ago, and actually took it to the junkyard, and it's gone. But there was also a van on the north side that we've also took to the dump. But if there's more, I need to know about it. So I will go and check. Or the easiest way to get a camera is just send me a request. If you want to send me a text, I can reach out to the people who control our cameras and get one put in place. Now, we only have a few. We only have 7. Go ahead.
That's right now. Can I just be like, I have you online. I would like to put a camera up there now. Hopefully this week.
Yeah, let me just explain. We have 7 trailer cameras. So those 7 trailer cameras are for the whole city. Those are the ones that are portable. We have just a couple of overt cameras, the red and blue cameras, and those should be getting a shipment of 19 more in. We have not got that shipment in yet, so we just have a handful of the red and blue cameras that you'll see on North Temple. So I will put a request in and see where we're at with the trailer cameras and those overts, and put a request in for Chapman Library.
Awesome. Thank you so much.
Can I,
Yep.
I'd like to chime in on that too. This is Jason Seaton.
Hi, Jason.
Is that van currently parked there now
The
today?
trailer.
Or trailer at the
I don't
library?
The library.
Late.
Isn't there a way that can just be towed because it's on city property? Right, just-
So yes and no. As with any vehicle, it's a 48-hour parking area. So as long as they're on a different block face after the 48 hours, then there's not much we can do about it. Another concern that we've really run into is people living in those RVs. And that's kind of thrown the whole process into kind of a, I don't know, it's rough because when you go into to take somebody's RV, now you're taking someone's home. So that's something that we're trying to figure out. But if it's not registered, not insured, right, then it's a liability on the street. So yeah, absolutely, I get the point that if it's not registered, it should be taken, or put on private property. But when you have someone living in there, and 9 times out of, well, I'd say 50% of the time there's kids in there as well. You gotta just figure out what to do.
Well, I guess what I mean is was it parked in the library parking lot, not on the street?
No, it's on the street.
It's on the street. Okay.
Yeah, and it would be the same in the library parking lot because it's still city property, as to on the street as well. Yeah, good questions.
Thanks, Detective Oliver. We ended up giving you a little more time than we allocated on the agenda, but when we have engaged community members having questions, that's what we have these meetings for. So we'd like to roll ahead. I don't think we have any house, so yeah, thanks, Detective Oliver. House representative update. I don't think we have anyone here for that. City council report. Alejandro, are you around? Well, the second best up is Josh.
So, hi, my name is Josh Ramoyo from the Mayor's Office Community Outreach Team. I go to 7 different community councils. I cover districts 1 and 5, and then I'm also covering 2 in the meantime because we're down a liaison. So I'm covering about 9 community councils. So if I have to leave after this, I apologize. I'm not trying to ignore the community. I'll leave my business card, and you can please feel free to reach out to me with any issues that come up. I interacted regularly with Detective Oliver, with civil enforcement, with parking enforcement, with all sorts of issues. If you need any help with communicating with any other department, I'm happy to help. The owl is following me pretty much everywhere I go because all the community councils are getting these now. So I don't know how I feel about them. They just move around a lot. It's cool.
I love it. It's great.
good.
I don't have to move anything. It just follows.
I thought it was Alexa.
Kind of looks like one. So I did bring a couple of things. One of the things is I brought this from our urban forestry division. It's about tree watering. Has instructions on about how much water to give a tree if you happen to have a new tree or a newer tree in your park strip, and how often they need to be watered. And then a website with more information. Our urban forestry team is making a really big push for educating people about how to take care of new trees in city park strips and allow them to be successful. So they, if you want to reach out to them, if you have a concern about a specific tree or specific area, I know they love to hear from people and give tips and ideas and reach out to people individually to help them be able to take care of those trees. So I have that, and then also I have Love Your Block grant cycle is open again for this week, and that is up to $2,000 for certain neighborhood improvement projects. That if you have an idea that can incorporate the community, a volunteer project such as an alleyway cleanup, For example, I know that that's been a popular one, or a community toolshed, some sort of community asset. Please take a look at that. That is sponsored by a grant from Cities of Service, which is a national organization. So that grant money is running out, but in the mayor's recommended budget for this fiscal year, she's proposing funds to continue that and to expand that in the city. So that doesn't have to go away after that grant cycle ends. And speaking of the budget, that continues to be on the docket for the city council. They have until about mid-June to approve the budget that the mayor recommended. Well, they can choose to make tweaks to individual city departments. And so they have to pass that by the middle of June. So the next public hearing for that is June 6th at the city council meeting. And I encourage everyone to get involved in that process, to submit a comment, take a look at the budget. If you're wondering about how much money is going to go for urban forestry or for public services or parking enforcement, that's all on the recommended budget. You can take a look at that online. And aside from that, I think I was going to mention, there's a lot of surveys that come out in the city that the city does, either transportation or parks. They're all in one place online. It's slc.gov/feedback, and it's a feedback community page, and you can find a list of all the current surveys that are open for residents to take. There's livable streets, which is the traffic calming initiative. There's surface treatments that are being considered right now, and then different reimagined parks related to the parks bond that passed last year. Different surveys for some neighborhood park improvements. So take a look at that website, slc.gov/feedback. And then again, encourage everyone to reach out to our office. Reach out if you use the app. If you use the SLC mobile app and submit something and you're wondering about a response, feel free to reach out. We're happy to take a look at that and to reach out to the city department and see what might be happening with any individual request. So yeah, that's what we're here for, and happy to take any questions or comments.
So you are new liaison or interim?
Interim. I was the liaison here a little while ago, but we kind of sort of shifted around assignments, but I am for here right now.
Quick question. I know the mayor's race is this year, but what about like we or the other council members? Does it vary depending on the district?
Yeah, and this is District 2's turn this year.
So District 2 and the mayor are both in this
Yeah.
term.
It's 2, 4, and 6. Right? Makes sense. 2.6. It's the even ones.
There's a
4,
pattern
6,
going.
and mayor.
Great. You have some, Danny?
Yeah, so we'd already discussed that we didn't get the for the second or third time, I can't remember, we didn't get the CIP grant for the Black Pleasant Preserve that I had mentioned last time. Could you help us to set up a joint meeting? Because both chairs of it's a joint wetland preserve there on 9th South. And so could you help us set a meeting up with our mayor to talk about a fix there? Because we brought up against the wall. We need a fix.
Yeah, I have your contact information. I can reach out to you. You can send me with anyone in our office or public lands that's involved with it.
No,
Public lands?
no, I was very specific. We need to talk at this point. It's gone on for like 14 years now. So we need to talk to the mayor because she's interested in nature, and I think she's running on a platform of improving nature and stuff like that. So I think that this could be beneficial to her rerun for mayor.
Yeah, I appreciate that. Yeah, happy to talk about any city issue that's important to the community. And so, yeah, I'll reach out to you about that.
Just poke her anyway.
Yeah,
Yeah,
sure.
thank you.
I'll do that.
That's all you gotta do. She knows.
All right. Thank God. If you have to leave early, grab a snack. Great. We have, we'd like to roll on with Sean. You're online and you wanted to present from the Sorensen Center.
Hello, everybody. Can you hear me all right?
Yes.
Okay. Great. See the whole screen. We have an owl also. We've had one for a year and a half. They're great fun. They're a little creepy sometimes, but I got a good view, and you'll tweak the settings, but it's been working well, picking up conversations. So Be careful, if somebody has a conversation in a corner, the camera's going to go right to you unless you change that setting. But hi, I'm Sean Martin. I'm the Community Programs Manager at the Sorensen Unity Center. It's been a long time since we've been back at these meetings. We participated a lot pre-COVID. I'm just going to speak very quickly and share my screen if I'm able, and just show you some ongoing programs that we have, and invite you to come down and check out the campus and see what we have going. Let me share the screen. Can we see the screen okay?
Yes.
Okay, so these are in no particular order. We have our computer center. If Chad's still there, hi Chad and Charlotte, and I see Nan is online also. We have our adult computer center that's free open access for folks that need open access. We always have people here to help with whatever they may need. We allow printing up to 10 pages if you need to scan to email. And most of the time we have Spanish speakers here as well. We're right on the corner of 9th West in California. The other thing we've got going, just this is in no particular order, but we want to get the word out again. We do have free light bulb swap. If you bring in up to 15 old light bulbs incandescent through Utah Clean Energy and Rocky Mountain Power, we can exchange those for LED lights. You just need to fill out a short form. Just come during our open hours to our reception desk. We just want to remind people of that. Other things we have going, we work with programming partners who we want to provide community space to. We have Monday and Tuesday night folkloric dancing, where Nonanston from the Glendale Poplar Grove neighborhood come and practice every Monday and Tuesday, and they perform a lot on the west side and around Salt Lake. But you're welcome to come in and visit and join the group, and it's all free and open to the public. Kids are welcome with parents. The other thing we've started back up on Tuesday evenings, Planned Parenthood is doing a teen mom program, free for teen mothers up to 19 or 20, a support group. There's a stipend involved. They have dinner. There is daycare provided. So if you or anybody you know has teens with kids, have them contact Planned Parenthood, or we can give them more information here. That's every Tuesday evening. IRC is back doing citizenship classes. A lot of these, of course, stopped during COVID. Now they're back going. This has changed to Thursday nights, free, open drop-in. Folks that are in any stage of the process of getting their citizenship, they have volunteers helping assess, do test evaluation, and help people get through the citizenship process. So that's every Thursday night. IRC directly, or come here on Thursdays, and they're here at 6:30 to 8:30. We also have music classes through Mundi. Saturday is doing piano classes. These are filling up. I'm not sure if there's space. They are free, and they are different ages, 8 to 17 are adults. So they'll start June 10th. And they may also have an open piano lab depending on that Saturday midday. Again, that's through the Mundi project. If you're welcome to come in and we can give more information, or you can contact them directly. We also have an interesting, great new program. And they charge a little bit, so we charge them rent, but it's a sign language and music class starting up again June 6th, June 13th and 20th by a group called the Deaf and the Musician that does sign language assistance and music interaction with hard of hearing and sign languages folks. That's going to be on Tuesday evenings. We are the city, but the county runs the recreation and the fitness side. Zumba is back up on Wednesday nights and Saturdays. So this is a county program with your membership at the fitness center. The other event we have coming up public is an arts and aging celebration through Jewish Family Services that's going to do celebrate creative aging. And there's going to be folks from Neighborhood House, people coming, and they're going to exhibit their artwork and also have a choir and some senior resources. That's June 15th coming up. There's other one-time events that I don't have everything here. We've got a lot of other things happening. There's some city meetings. We are a city facility, like I said. Also, the county is expanding their swimming pool hours and being more consistent starting in June. And in June, they will be doing, I believe, volleyball in the evenings, and they'll be starting wiffle ball and some other sports activities in the evenings and on Saturdays starting in June. So stay tuned for those. We put as much as we can on our little electric sign that's in front of our building, or again, we invite you to come in and ask questions, and we have lots of information up. The aging celebration exhibit will go up in June for about a month. We have a superhero, social justice superheroes exhibit up now from the kids of Youth City. The Youth City summer program is full here at Unity and Sorensen, as well as in Rose Park and all of our other locations, but that will start in June. The other thing I wanted to mention is there's Youth City summer internships for teens that can get paid working for a city department in the mayor's office, in community and neighborhoods, in public services. That goes June 12th through the 4th. 16 to 18-year-olds, you can go to the city website to look for those job opportunities. If you've got teenagers, know of them 16 to 18, they're getting $15 an hour, and it's 8 weeks of internship at a city department. Any questions? I'm happy to answer. I know you got lots on the agenda, so hope I'm happy to answer any questions and continuing to be back at these meetings when they start up again in August or September.
All right, well, thanks, Sean. That was a lot of info. And we're gonna keep throwing more info on at you, so that was great. Jake, did you have anything besides, we have a slide for your event coming up. Did you have any other neighborhood house stuff you want to talk about?
Just the slides.
Okay, we'll get to that then. And then NeighborWorks. Is anyone from NeighborWorks online or here in person? We have a slide for them as well. Okay, great. We made it through the public agenda items. We just want to mention now we're getting into sort of the Poplar Grove stuff that we have going on. And the first one was the announcement, once again, for those that might not have been on time, that we have some treats here from Canella's Bakery. They're right on 9th and 8th. So they're kitty corner from Smith's, right there on the tortilla factory. They're on the corner, they have some great food. So the community council bought from them for today because it's good to support local businesses. Really nice folk.
Yes, 100%.
Yes. Oh, they're so good.
I go there once a week. They're
Yeah.
delicious.
And in the parking, they have a food truck and they have the best burritos ever.
So you can find them online, canellaut.com, and get some treats over there. And then the drinks are from Smith's as well, which is
Locally sourced.
Kroger, right? You know,
They
right.
sell King's Peak coffee at Canela.
Do they?
They're so good, huh?
So as a community council, we also, I mean, we're still working on building out the infrastructure to try to highlight local businesses as well, but that's important for our neighborhood is, you know, finding ways of supporting what we have going on so that we get more of it. So we're just gonna roll down. He just rolled down all the items going on at the Sorensen Center. We have a bunch of stuff that kind of relates to our neighborhood, and I'll kind of lead that. Jake here at this location here, a neighborhood house, they're having their big summer celebration coming up June 16th. It should be a really awesome event. It's just 2 hours, 4:30 to 6:30. They're gonna have tons of things going on here, so it's fun for the whole family, a lot of activities. Any highlights that you want to mention of what's already in the works for that?
So we have competitive opportunities that now are all free. So please feel free to make use of your different social networks and invite people over. We want to see as many members of the community here as possible. We're also looking for tabling partners. So if you represent an organization, not-for-profit, NGO that's looking to provide resources to the community, please feel free to contact me. I'll be here setting up and closing down at the council meetings. So
Great. So, and we'd always like to express our thanks to Neighborhood House for allowing us to meet here and hosting the space as well. So. All right. We like to just remind you that we know you guys don't have time in the summer. We don't have time in the summer. So we take a little break. So we're not going to hold our monthly meetings for the months of June or July, and we come back again in August. So the same time of the month, just wait till August. So leave that off your calendar, I guess. We'd like to mention that there's an open mic night that's held at the Sugar Space, which is in the northern part of Poplar Grove. It's right off of 200 South. It's on the little side street there off of Jeremy. Well, and actually you have to go to the other side where they kind of dead ends with the new complex they're building there. But it's a great event. I went there on Sunday. You know, it's open to the public. So if you'd like to perform, you go over. If you just want to hang out, they've built out the cafe there at the Sugar Space. So they had some food and drinks and stuff that you could purchase as well. So it's every first and third Sunday, 5 to 8 p.m. So come check it out. We also just want to mention the Utah Asian Festival is coming up. So you can find out information. It'll be held right here on our side of town, just across the street from our, not technically in our neighborhood, but you know, it's you know, the street of our neighborhood, which is at the fairgrounds. You can find information by just Google Utah Asian Festival. There's only one, but it'll be Saturday, June 3rd. So we're actually going to go through June 3rd. Is a very busy day for events. So the Asian Festival, it's starting at 11 a.m. It's going all the way to 7 p.m. there at the fairgrounds, but at the fair park. And then also the same day is the International Market that is happening also at the fairgrounds, June 3rd. That starts at 2 p.m. So you start off at the Asian Festival for a few hours, and you work your way over to the International Market. Did you have something to add?
Yes, also, I forgot to mention it in my presentation. June 3rd is also a day if anybody wants to test for the fire department. There's a free testing held at the Public Safety Building on June 3rd. It's prioritized towards locals. If you live in Salt Lake City, we're going to prioritize.
What time?
I think it's 9 a.m. It's on our website.
Perfect. So you start off at 9 a.m. taking your fire test. Then you come over to the Asian Festival. It starts at 11, goes till 7. Then you have the International Market that starts at 2 p.m., goes till 7.
Can you make a timeline for it? I want an itinerary for June 3rd.
Yeah.
To pass out.
You have something on June 3rd?
Yeah, so the city approached KRCL about getting the word out that at the same place, as part of the International Market, there's going to be a free kids film screening of the movie Soul as part of this Juneteenth celebration.
Oh, nice.
That's right.
So you guys know there's like an indoor soccer thing at the fair park. So 5:30, that's part of this includes a free film screening of the fabulous kids film Soul. You don't have to be a kid to go.
Great. Well, you probably won't want to go to that because, there's other International Market dates. They're all through the thing. So the next one's on the 3rd, but they have them basically almost monthly throughout the end of the year.
And it's so much fun, you guys.
It is a lot of fun.
It's free. You go there free.
Huh? I think so.
2 to 8.
2 to 8?
2 to 8.
Oh,
It
2
says
to
2 to
7.
7 now? I guess. Okay, maybe they changed it.
They did.
Maybe
Yeah.
there's an extra hour for the movie.
Yeah, so, and then also on June 3rd, right here in our neighborhood, is Poplar Grove Park Performances. And so that's the event going on in the evening. So I guess maybe you watch part of
Don't go to.
you watch part of Soul maybe, and then you come over. So we're having the event happening here at Poplar Grove Park, which is just right off of Indiana and Emory, or about, about 1200 west.
Every street.
The event will be basically some community organizations tabling at that as well from 5, about 6:30-ish, we're going to start the performance portion of it. And that's just an open free concert. It's just a way of engaging the neighborhood and activating the park a little bit. It's organized by this guy that lives about half a block from the park.
I don't really trust his judgment though.
Yeah. So we're still working on the lineup for June, for this June concert. I might be performing.
Wonderwall.
Nice.
We'll see. Probably a little more classical because that's my background. But it should be a fun event. And that's from 6:30 till 7:30-ish will be the end of the performance. So it all will wrap up about 8 p.m. So not too late.
Is there a fireworks show June 3rd at like 9 p.m.?
No, I think
Missed opportunity.
I think you're just exhausted at that point. This is a 12-hour day at that point. So a lot of stuff going on June 3rd. So you keep that day open. The following week, June 10th, again, a community member has organized a Zoot Suit night. That community member being me. It'll be held at the Harold B. Hall, which is off of 900 West. It's a 1940s themed dance party. We're expecting to have a good time there. It'll start off at 4:30 with it commemorates the 80th anniversary of the Zoot Suit riots in Los Angeles, California, which was you come to the event, you'll learn about it. But we're gonna do a documentary screening of the PBS documentary Zoot Suit Riots at 4:30, along with a little discussion with Ed Munoz, who's a local West Sider, who's also a professor at the Ethnic Studies Department at the University of Utah. 6 p.m. we're gonna have some like basic dance instruction for a little bit while the big band sets up. And then from 7 p.m. to 10 p.m. we're gonna have a live big band playing music there. If you don't own a Zoot suit, just wear your fanciest duds and come looking good. I have a red and black pinstripe Zoot suit that I'll be wearing to the event. So there should be a lot of fun. We're gonna have the Duke's Classic Car Club come out with a few of the cars out in the front. So there should be some good photo ops. And then speaking of photo ops, we'll have a photo booth set up as well. So you can go home with a couple of pictures, souvenirs from the event. And the plan is to have a little nacho bar and waffle bar. So, because just like the Zoot suits, we're like bringing together like these clashing, so we have, random foods together but it should be just a good time. So come on out and support and just have an opportunity to get out as a community, learn a little bit about the Zoot suit, which was really popular in the 1930s and 40s amongst the minority communities, specifically Mexican, Filipino, Black, and Japanese and others. So that event is going on. And then we also want to mention the Paint Your Heart Out event that's coming up. That's run through NeighborWorks. So they didn't present earlier, but basically it's an opportunity to get a house painted for those, specifically those that are, veterans over the age of 65 or those with disabilities. So right now they're looking for homes to paint. So if you go to the NeighborWorks website, if you just Google Paint Your Heart Out Salt Lake City, you'll find their page where you could submit nominations. So they're going to take all the nominations and then they're going to pick the ones that they can handle in terms of this event. So they're hoping to have those selected kind of mid-June. So if you have anyone, try in the next week or two to submit neighbors that you might know that could use a house to be painted. And then as we move forward on the same webpage, you can also sign up or create your own team. So I'm too busy to have a Poplar Grove team to go for it, but you can grab a few neighbors and or you can contact them and find a different team to join. That is good. They're going to be going out and doing the painting. And so
It's really fun.
Or they could join the West Side Coalition team.
So the West Side Coalition is creating a team as well. So
That's the coalition of all the 6 different community councils, but yeah, we are going to be doing that.
yeah. So first step is nominating right now, and then also think about volunteering. The event is happening on August 11th. And so NeighborWorks is the group putting that together. It's another great thing going on here, especially focusing on the west side. And then this kind of just goes back to what we were talking about a little bit earlier in terms of the flooding areas. Through the county, you can still get the free sandbags. And so if you live in the flood zone area, like it shows here, especially
Those are free sandbags over on, I think South Temple and 15 something east, or I believe, for like. I remember I called, they were, so back at Chapman Library, there was like some flooding, they were getting the initial cleaning done. And I spoke to the people from, I believe it was like Rocky Mountain that were out there, and they said you can just go to like their location over on like South Temple, and they have like year round, they have sandbags for free.
Oh, okay.
And it's like 10 per trip that you can take.
Rocky Mountain Power?
Or it's one of the like local utility companies.
So, well, if you live in those areas, yeah, I mean, just evaluate your property, and we did do a bit talking about that earlier with the fire department. So just as a community council, you want to make sure that's you're on the radar. If you're living in a dark blue or light blue area, just be aware of that and make sure you do what you can to be prepared for that. So. All right, and I went to Smith's today and I got those drinks, and right on the back of my receipt was an ad for Groove in the Grove, which is Poplar Grove Community Council's big annual event. It's going to be held, what does it say on here? Saturday, September 30th, 11 a.m. to 3 p.m. So next time you go through Smith's, check out the back of the receipt. You might have a cool souvenir for that, but tell your neighbors. It's a great event. It's a time that we shut off the street in front of the police precinct and we just have a big community party there. We have a lot of different organizations that come in for that. Kind of wraps up the summertime a bit now. And if you have any interest in getting involved and helping out, Karen here, who is also our treasurer, is also our contact head for this event. And so she's been already hard at work at that. And so
Just quick, what would it take to get like the way the avenues or like 99th have like their block parties for us to get like local vendors and artisans and like have a big, like expand it?
you would talk to Karen and help her because we can only do.
Well, we have that at the international market,
Yeah.
vendors and.
No.
Would it be possible if we had a lot more?
Yeah.
Avenue Street Fair is put on by the Greater Avenues Council. And if you've ever looked at their website and how many people they actually have on their council, you would understand why.
So we just need like a whole bunch more people helping.
Maybe like reach out to one of the councils and just kind of like get a blueprint. I can help spearhead with you. Totally down for it.
So if there's things you want, like if there's as a council, if there's something that you and now that you're on the council, you have even more, and on the board. Everyone that lives in the area is on the council technically. So, but now that you're on the board, you have a bit of impact if there are things you want to add in. Ultimately, we do what we have the bandwidth to do as a board here, and so so awesome. That's an event. Put it on your calendars, the 30th. Yeah.
Regarding the sandbags, if you Google Salt Lake City emergency management or Be Ready Salt Lake City, it'll take you to the emergency management page, and there's a section. The very first post is about flooding, and that takes you to a place to find sandbags in all across the county. It gives you all different places to find things.
Awesome.
So like those are far.
So we pounded through a lot of those announcements. Now, we do also want to mention that these meetings are recorded and we do throw them up on YouTube. I can't imagine people having a lot of time to watch a whole meeting afterwards, but if you want to just sort of highlight, you're like, oh, I forgot one of those events, you can just go back and scroll through the middle point, to find where, things that were mentioned here in this meeting. So a lot of stuff coming up, and hopefully we get more and more here on the west side. We want to be inundated with good things happening around our neighborhood, because so often we're so inundated with all the bad things that are happening. So with that said, we have a portion here now for public presentations. We have two big ones. Do we have Olivia here? Is she online?
I'm actually going to be presenting in place of Olivia. I'm also with the city recorder's office. Sorry, let me. Yeah, let me share. I have a presentation for you guys. My name is Thais, by the way. I'm one of the deputy city recorders for Salt Lake City. And I'm going to be sharing a little bit about ranked choice voting. So give me just 1 second while I switch screens here. Okay, let me share. Okay. Okay, can you all see my slideshow?
Yes.
Okay, perfect. Okay, so ranked choice voting is happening this year in the municipal elections here in Salt Lake City. And I'm just gonna be saying a couple of things about what ranked choice voting is and what that means. And if you guys have any questions, please feel free to ask at any time. We've done this before in 2021. So let me go to the next slide here. Oh. Sorry, I have like too many screens and I am losing that. Okay, there we go. Okay, so these are the seats that are up for election this year. We have the mayor, District 2, District 4, and District 6. So everyone in the city is going to be receiving a ballot since it is a mayoral year. And so ranked choice voting is currently in a pilot program that was adopted by the Utah legislature to allow municipalities to have this choice to have ranked choice voting. And Salt Lake City did ranked choice voting in 2021. The city and all of the feedback that we received from different community members were very positive about how ranked choice voting went. So we just want to make sure that everyone is aware of it and what it means. Ranked choice voting is unique because of the way the vote is counted. If a voter's first choice candidate is eliminated, which means they have the least amount of votes, the voter's second preferred candidate is then included in the second round of votes. So this counting continues this way until a candidate reaches a majority or over 50% of the vote to win the elections. So your ballots will look a little bit similar to this right here. You'll have your candidate's name on the side, and then you'll have your choices at the top. So you'll just fill out one bubble per column. So in this example, candidate A was picked for their first choice, their second choice was candidate B, and so on. So you don't want to mark more than one oval per column and row. If a voter chooses not to rank by preferred and instead only chooses to vote for one candidate, then if your first choice candidate is eliminated in the race, there's no more votes that would be counted from your ballot. Okay, so RCV has actually been around for a little while. It's been used in other countries, but specifically there's other states in the US that have successfully implemented ranked choice voting. It does give the voter a larger say in the final candidate as they are ranked and eliminated based on the overall ranking of all voters. In races with more than two candidates, voters can choose to rank the candidates based on their preference, which stretches their vote. And if their preferred candidate gets eliminated. But generally, ranked choice voting can save municipalities money because we tend to not hold the primary election when we do ranked choice voting. It also encourages a more civil campaign for candidates. Candidates are better served by working together, and they may create coalitions and talk to voters who support other candidates. So voters are looking beyond their first choice candidate. It could be their second or third choices who wins. I do have a short video from the county really quick.
Are we supposed to be getting audio from you?
When you share, Thais, did you click share sound?
Sorry, I probably didn't. Let me see.
Yeah, you probably want to stop sharing and then click share again.
Yeah.
Okay, thank you.
Or you could have narrated, like put some
I
music.
could. It's pretty much just going over everything I just explained. There's a lot of videos out there from both the county and the state. But if you go to the Salt Lake County elections, they do have quite a lot of like really great examples of what ranked choice voting looks like. Let me go back to sharing my screen here. Oh, screen two. Okay, there we go. We'll just move on to the next slide. If I can. Okay, there we go. So for those wondering what this is going to change in the process, we're not going to be having a primary election this year. And the general election is going to be November 7th, which is normal, but because there's no primary, the declaration of candidacy does change. Usually it's in the beginning of June, but it's going to be in the beginning of August. So August 8th through the 15th will be the declaration of candidacy. And let's see, and that's pretty much everything I have to share. Do you guys have it? Olivia is our elections management coordinator. She's really great and very knowledgeable about all this stuff, so just feel free to contact her at any time. But I was with the city when we did ranked choice voting back in 2021. And so I have a little bit of experience in the behind the scenes stuff like that. But if you have any questions, I'm happy to answer anything.
Any questions? So, I think we're good, but I personally attest to that. I ran in the city council race in 2020, in 2021, and it was really fun to have ranked choice. I honestly wouldn't have run if it wasn't for ranked choice voting, because it eliminated the primary and pushes everything back. So normally you have to run, you have to declare, like now, if you're running, they do a primary and they whittle it down to just a couple people that make it all the way to the end. I didn't even declare until August, and then I was able to get it all the way to the end. I didn't win, which was fine, but it was still a good opportunity to run. We had 5 candidates running in District 2 at that point. Alejandro Puy was the one who won, but it was a good thing. So I bear my testimony to ranked choice voting, and I think it's cool.
It's more proportional representation.
Yeah,
we could all use that in Utah.
yeah. And if you like, because if you don't throw away your vote that way. I was like, I don't want to vote. No one would have voted for me because they knew I wasn't going to win. But when they knew that when I lose, that their vote goes to someone else, it gives me a chance to. So, but that was great. Thanks for sharing that. And as a community council, share that what goes around. There's still a bit of confusion sometimes about how ranked choice voting works. I don't know. There's always something, but if you do have any questions or concerns, that was great for that presentation. Rolling along, do we have Emily on the call? Or Emily Horton?
Hi, yes, I'm on.
Awesome. So you go ahead, you have the floor for a few minutes.
Thank you. I'm Emily. I live in Poplar Grove. And I just wanted to share about a steering committee that I'm on. I feel like you might not be hearing me, but I'll keep trying. I'm on the Nearport Steering Committee, which is through Utah Clean Cities. It's meant to survey communities that are near the inland port, which includes Poplar Grove and the 84104 zip code. I don't have any written materials yet, but over the course of this summer, we will have a written survey that I think will be emailed out and posted on various channels. And also several what we call community listening sessions where people in these neighborhoods can get together and do the survey in person and also discuss how they feel they're affected by the inland port. So I just wanted to let you all know about this project happening. And then I would like to be able to get this survey and any educational materials that we'll have out to our group. I know that the first listening session will be on June 15th at the Day Riverside Library in Rose Park. I'm sure there will be one near to Poplar Grove too, but I don't know when and where yet. So just wanted to let you know, really. And I wanted to ask, I know that we don't have these meetings in the next 2 months. Do we have a Poplar Grove newsletter emailed out or any sort of thing that I can send some materials to?
Yes, Emily, I'll send you my email address and you can send any links or any materials that you want to send out and I will get those distributed. That's Marissa.
Okay.
Yeah, you just.
Okay, great, thanks, Marissa.
Updates. Awesome. Well, thanks, Emily,
Okay.
for that.
I have a question for Emily.
Thank you.
Yeah, just a question for you, Emily, here.
What kind of?
Yes.
What kind of input are they looking for? Just what to do with the inland port or what we think about the inland port or what is the purpose really?
It's a grant from the EPA. So I think the purpose is to both inform and ask people how they feel that their health and their environment may be affected by the inland port, and then try to get community engagement in sharing that with the inland port. I suppose with the hope to make changes based on community desires, or at least share community desires.
You called it the what steering committee?
It's called the Near Port Steering Committee.
As in, we're
So
near-
it's the zip codes that are within like 7 miles of where the inland port is. So it's us, Rose Park, Magna, West Valley.
Thanks.
Thank you.
Thank you.
I have a question about that area out there. The surplus canal it's Audubon territory and it's been designated as a wild area too. And I didn't know if it was public or private, the designation. At least on the map that I looked at, it said it was designated as a wild area.
Well, Emily's just part of the steering committee for this.
Oh, so she doesn't know
Yeah,
anything about
that
the
probably not
details.
that. But Danny might know the answer to that.
Yeah.
I don't know the answer to that.
So virtually everything past the Burnham Dam is private property. Duck clubs at all, some farmers and whatnot all out there. And also one other comment, the surplus canal heads out, but then it's got a huge arm that heads straight to the lake. It's the Goggin Drain. So that's the drains the surplus canal to a certain extent, because the surplus canal ends up in everything from the Farmington Bay Bird Refuge to the community fishery there in Davis County. So, yeah.
Great.
Cool.
Awesome. Thank you, Emily. We actually didn't have a lot of presenters this month, which is good because we had a lot of discussions with our normal folk that were in earlier, which is awesome. But we do always want to make sure that we have an opportunity that if anyone is in attendance, whether online or in person, if there are any issues that you wanted to bring up, it's kind of a public comment, open discussion portion. We don't have all evening. I'm sure we can talk about all the problems and issues we have going on all night long. But if you have, want to keep it to 1 to 2 minutes, if there's an issue or something that you wanted to bring up, again, realizing that the community council, and the board can only do so much, but we can pass questions and concerns along. Usually the concerns were taken care of earlier, but with that said, is there anyone online or here in person that had an issue they wanted to share or bring up with the group? Yeah.
So I just want to reintroduce myself, Gavin from KRCL Radio. There's a lot going on the radio station. I won't take up your time with that now, but if you're not familiar, it's 90.9 FM, 43 years in the city. And we do have our 909 day. We're 90.9. On September 9th is our big block party at our new location on 3rd North. So we were on North Temple for a long time before I got here. I came from Colorado, where I worked in public radio for the last 10 years, and just moved we were renting over by Liberty Park, and we just found a house right here.
Touchdown.
Right there. Yeah. So, but for the 909 day block party, we do our record sale and CD sale, and that also reappears out at like Farmers Market or other locations. If anyone has CDs or vinyl or cassettes, we're also doing cassettes this year because they're back. Then please consider donating those to the station. You can just drop by during business hours. If your records are moldy, please throw them in the garbage. But lastly, I just want to ask a question as a neighbor, and I hesitate to say this in a public gathering because I really like my neighbors, but having been new to the neighborhood, I'm curious about nuisance animals. I didn't want to bring this up to the detective, although it looks like he might still be there, but maybe I could take this offline in a less public setting, but I'm just curious. I looked up the code. It looks like there is such a thing as nuisance animals, but I'm just concerned about a particular neighbor who seems like a very friendly human being whose dog is just like always caged and barking and wailing, and it just makes me sad. I feel bad for the dog. Like I would take the dog for a walk, but I don't want to call the cops on someone, but I also don't know, is there any, isn't that technically a code that you can't just have nuisance animals and you can't just leave your animals caged all the time? Again, don't want to besmirch anyone's name, but
That's fine. Well, you haven't dropped the name yet, so you're okay. I guess Detective Oliver, are you still available to address that?
I am. The best bet is to contact the Salt Lake County Animal Control, because not only will they come and talk to the owner, but they'll also provide education. I don't know how many times I've called them out, and they'll feed the dog. They'll go and just check on the welfare of the dog. but the most of it is just educating the dog owner or the animal owner about the do's and don'ts. But they do it all the time.
And in terms of my own education to read up on what the policy is, I believe I found legitimate information online, but you never know. It seemed like this was technically in violation of the code, but I just, again, I don't want to, like, you're dealing with like actual crime. This is like not, this is a waste of law enforcement's time, but sounds like animal control would be a place to start. I feel like even calling animal control on my neighbor seems a little not very neighborly, but also like every single morning at my breakfast in my kitchen listening to for the rest of my life. Is that the plan?
No, you don't. You don't.
Well, technically the dogs.
Yeah, I hear that too, but it's my kids.
Oh.
So.
Anyway, thank you. That was just a new
That's
phenomenon to me.
And thanks for sharing that. I mean, community councils like this are a perfect place to ask questions like that.
Yeah.
Which is a good question. You don't want, you're not going to call 911 on a pet animal, but getting an answer like that, you call the county animal control, and they'll, you can explain the situation, and they'll decide how to best handle that.
Yeah, they'll give you guidance. Sadly, as long as if they have water and food, yeah, they don't, I guess.
Yeah.
They don't.
You do what you can though, but that's the avenue you take. Awesome. Well, Esther, it looks like online is raising her hand as well. Or did you want to talk about the dog?
Yeah.
Sorry, wait, Esther, 1 second. What does that do?
Sure. So the reason that we moved back to the west side and back to Poplar Grove was so that we wouldn't have to turn our neighbors in and stuff like that. When you say we operate a little bit more with a little bit more elbow room than those up on the east side, and so we struggle with that same issue also with neighbors on various sides. Those kinds. I would do exactly what she's recommending and they're recommending, and that's just call so that we got turned in for our dog barking, but it turned out it was the next door neighbor's dog that was barking. But still, it gave us an opportunity to re-up our license for the dog, and so that worked out good. So they gave us a notice that, hey, your dog's almost due or is due for your license, but not rabies. And so that's other information that you can get by communicating with the county.
Thanks. Great. Awesome. Thanks, Danny. Sure. All right, Esther, floor is yours.
Was it Ricardo that's having a problem with his neighbor's dog?
No, it was a new guy, Gavin.
Gavin? Oh, Gavin, let's chat. I don't mind reporting your neighbor. So just let me know which one it is. I'll make the report.
Hey, Esther, this is Detective Oliver. I have a number, 801
Okay.
840 4000. That's the animal control or animal protective services. I don't know what they're called anymore. So
could you repeat that? 801
801 840 4000.
Thank you.
Yep.
Cap, also place that in the chat for everyone.
Great. Awesome.
Thank you, Detective Oliver.
Did you have anything else, Esther?
No, that's it.
You just want to rat on his neighbor? Okay.
Totally nice guy.
Awesome. Great. Was there any other issues from anyone else that was here that wanted to bring up anything? Well, if not, okay.
Could I just?
Please.
Okay. So my name's Charlotte. I am a resident, a Poplar Grove resident, but I'm also on the West Side Coalition board with Daniel and Jake, who works here, and Marissa, who used to be on our council, but she's I bailed out. Yeah. So it's our coalition.
What's your name again?
Charlotte.
Thank you.
Charlotte Fife Jefferson. And we have also gotten an EPA, a grant from the EPA to conduct some listening sessions or to have some community conversations about environment the environment, not specific to the inland port, but just any environmental, we are being affected as West Side residents in terms of the environment. So any kind of, it could be air quality, water, any kind of environmental impact.
Any idea if it's true that a shelter is coming to the west side?
I don't know, but you know, that, I mean, so, anyway, environmental, it could be, pollution, traffic, I guess, you know. Anyway, we are inviting members of the community to participate in a 90-minute discussion. It's a facilitated discussion about this, and we're going to offer food and also a small stipend to the participants, and we'll have more info.
We're trying to lock down a date for that. If you have any interest in being part of this, you can reach out to me or anyone on the board here, Daniel at poplargroveslc.org. Or just Google Poplar Grove Community Council. You'll find our webpage, fill out the form there. All that stuff comes to us and we can get you on that potential list. But, and for those that don't know, the West Side Coalition is a group of all of the West Side community councils, basically. There's 6 community councils on the West Side. From the bottom up, we got Glendale, Poplar Grove, Fair Park, Rose Park, Jordan Meadows, and West Point. And so everyone that lives on the west side is part of this coalition per se, and then there's a board of 18 members. And so I do know specifically the West Side Coalition board is looking for replacing a few members that have moved on, and so they're looking for people that would be interested in being involved in bigger West Side issues. It's basically the same things that we're worrying about here on the community council level, just everyone worries about the same things over
Kind of
there.
a unified voice for the entire West Side.
So,
and we advocate for the health, safety, and quality of life of West Side residents. So we write letters on behalf of our community council about, like, maybe if we took a position on, like, right now, a big thing is the widening of I-15. You know, we take positions on big things like that.
I have a half serious West Side Coalition question.
Sure.
So Fair Park is encroaching on our boundaries a little bit. Oh, sorry. We put out a new map that goes all the way to I-80. I just wonder if our representatives on the coalition might be able to push that back to you.
So yeah, which I'm glad you brought that up, because so we have informed, a couple of us, like basically Esther and I have been informally approached by the Fair Park, like hey, we're thinking about doing this, and then apparently they've already voted and tried to move the boundaries of currently the Poplar Grove boundaries are North Temple.
Yeah.
And everything south of that, and they're trying to push that down to 200 south.
Yeah, no.
I have a possible compromise. The Folsom Trail. The 900 is our one boundary. So 900 Folsom could be.
We're finally gonna get a Major League Baseball team or something like that, when they give it away.
It'd be like a third park collapse. It'd be right in the middle. Anyway,
Yeah.
But
Well, I mean,
I'm just saying, let's fight 200 south no matter what. I'm just
yeah.
saying.
Because anyways,
But
now
there's no-
that there's something nice going to be in our neighborhoods.
Nothing would force us to compromise. Okay.
But nothing has officially come through our board about moving our boundaries, so we're just gonna try to double down on making sure that you in that area, north of the 80, south of North Temple, that they feel special because they're part of our neighborhood.
Yeah.
So.
Chungus is ours, and they can take it from us.
So we'll see how that plays out, but again, neighborhood boundaries are, anyways, hasn't come across our plate yet officially, so I don't have an answer for what that is, but again, we could take that to the coalition a bit.
Need to speak with Nigel.
Yeah, Nigel's the one that informally mentioned it, and then apparently has already voted on that. So we'd like to turn the floor quickly to Jason here, who just wanted to point out the thing on the screen.
So I have been asked many times when I complain about things to bring data. So I've been collecting data, which is making some people look really bad. But this is really simple. So everywhere I look, the other morning I saw this, and I've seen it many times, but you'll notice where she's circling, where it says Salt Lake there, that is Poplar Grove. It's I-80 at the top of the T, down to the next black line, which is the 201 freeway, and then I-15 there on the east. There is no air measurements in all of Poplar Grove, all the way out to Magna. Crazy. Are we left out of so much?
Who's doing these measurements?
Yeah, so are you saying there's no air monitors to monitor?
No.
There are, but not.
They're not populating or being used, and this is this way always.
What is this?
This is from the weather on KSL. They do the air quality and they pop up all the things that have been, but this has been this.
But that's curious.
No, it's been this way for years. This is not an anomaly.
KSL.
No. That's the state's monitoring.
That's it. That's the data.
They're just pulling the data and putting on their news.
It's the state's monitoring?
It's the air quality monitoring to help manage the air quality in Utah. And this area doesn't have any. You know, it's really bizarre that we're wrapped around, but the east side seems to have a few.
Maybe the monitor.
I can't see the circle. It's very.
Maybe they only put the monitors where you get good cell reception. So
Yeah, so this is just one of many things. Yeah, one of many things that we get left out of, right? That is just, we're cut off. And a lot of it's because it's so funny that we make the issue that moving across town, across the freeway or across the railroad tracks is very difficult for us. But any activity that happens in the city or anything that happens and never crosses into our area because it's difficult and it's just automatically difficult. So not that I want it here, but the Salt Lake Marathon never comes here. It'll go all the way to Murray before it'll come to this part of Salt Lake, right? Because they have to deal with crossing the tracks, you know, right? Or they have to run over a bridge or something. So it's, again, I don't want the marathon here really because it's a pain in the butt, but
I won't say no to it.
All those events.
All the option is say no, get out of my
All
neighborhood.
those events that it's just easy to draw a line at I-15 and cut us out. And that's just another element too, which is really weird because that's a state.
Yeah.
That's a state thing. Well, that's a
Thank
big
you for
hole.
carrying.
Well, especially when it's in Rose Park. So robustly, you know.
Yeah, it's everywhere else. It's bizarre. And I kind of wonder because there's so much industrial stuff, we're like, we're not going to measure that area.
Hey, what if you move to another part of town? Maybe we'll get all kinds of data.
That is a triggering.
I'm just teasing.
Everybody, we thank you so much for coming in. You know, we technically scheduled this a little bit later, but I love to end our meetings early. So with that said, we're going to take a little hiatus for the next couple months, but like we mentioned earlier, there are a ton of events going on, especially apparently June 3rd. Everything is happening on that day. We'll be sending out the monthly notices of all the other events because there are going to be a lot more events as the summer goes along that are happening. And if you have any questions, feel free to reach out to me. Again, it's Daniel@poplargroveslc.org. If you have any interest in helping out with the board as well, we always take whoever we can get to help us out with that. So with that said,
I got one more thing. So Josh mentioned this, but so I deep watered our trees and shrubs last night, and before I went to bed, I forgot to turn it off. I had it on a timer, but you know, I overwatered. So I'm saying that the way to water your trees is to stick a hose right at the base of the tree and turn it on, drip, 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 and just leave it. And then you remember like a day or two later, and then you go out there and you move the hose to another tree. That will work so much better than trying to do what I did last night. I was such an idiot.
all right, with that said.
Hey,